Hey everybody, welcome to an emergency edition of the West Coast Best Coast Football Show here on the Off the Mic Sports Network. Listen, um, I didn't expect to be doing this early enough, but certain news has broken in the last 12 to 18 hours that is seismic for the college football world, and it involves a West Coast team that could eventually be a Pac-12 team, by the way. Still a lot of roadblocks to clear in that, and the Mountain West and the Pac-12 might be in litigation very soon in regards to certain things about the Pac-12 taking some of the Mountain West schools and not doing a merger. But we're not going to go there here. This is about the UNLV quarterback Matthew Sluka, is redshirting for the season because of some NIL commitments that weren't made. Here's the official post from him on his social media last night. He basically said, "I've decided to utilize my redshirt year and will not be playing in any additional games this season. I committed to UNLV based on certain representations that were made to me, which were not upheld after I enrolled. Despite discussions, it became clear that these commitments would not be fulfilled in the future. I wish my teammates the best of luck this season and hope the continued success of the program." So, if you read that, you're like, okay, UNLV didn't uphold their end of the bargain in terms of signing him to an NIL deal, and Matthew Sluka being a prize quarterback in the portal, jumping up from Holy Cross last year. He's led UNLV to this 3-0 record to start the season. They're in the top 25 for the first time and whatever. But here's what's interesting about this whole thing, and I'll get to the Matthew Sluka piece of this too. Matthew Sluka is only completing 43.8% of his passes and has 6 touchdowns and 318 passing yards. Granted, he ran for a bunch of yards, 124 to win against Kansas 2 weeks ago. But man, this is bizarre because, like, hey, the rule is, like, if you play in your fourth game, if you play in 4 games, you can't redshirt. So he's trying to preserve his eligibility and probably try to go somewhere else. But then this gets really interesting because Carl Reed of 24/7 Sports, who knows his stuff, and there's no reason for me to believe that he doesn't know something. But clearly, after I read this, somebody's lying here. Somebody's not telling the truth. So Carl Reed says all financial commitments for UNLV quarterback Matthew Sluka were completely met. But after wins against KU and Houston, 2 Power 4 teams, Sluka's family hired an agent, and they collectively feel that his market value has increased. So that's interesting. Barry Odom, like this team's 3-0. UNLV, best team that they've had in a really long time. I mean, they were a good team last year, and Jaden Maivia, their quarterback, transferred to USC, and he's now the backup for Miller Moss. So that's like it's amazing that they've gotten to this point. By the way, I don't know if a family member of Matthew Sluka replied to this and basically said, "Yeah, this isn't true." So. It's a bunch of he said, she said at this point, but let's break this down here. Nobody wins in this situation. Nobody wins whatsoever. UNLV doesn't look good because they're embroiled in this mess, whether they gave him the money or made the promises or not. The family and Matthew Sluka look terrible in this because you're a transfer quarterback from Holy Cross, and you're completing less than 50% of your passes, and just because you beat Kansas and Houston, you want more money? And some reports, Joe Arrigo, a guy who I've had on a couple of my shows back in early parts of my career, is a very credible reporter out there in Las Vegas. He said he asked Barry Odom for $300,000, and Barry Odom just told him no. And Matthew Sluka just didn't show up for Tuesday's practice and just left and effectively quit. So that's a piece of this. College football looks terrible in this as well because I have been on this for 3 years, or even before the 2021 really height of NIL. The NCAA absolutely shit the bed when NIL came into the forefront. And they had multiple years, at least 2 or 3, I would count. Because I remember back in like around 2019 when there was stuff like with NIL opportunities. And this had been, surfacing on the periphery, and it had been like, coming to the forefront for a while, because so many college athletes were not able to get paid. And if they did get paid, they were going to get disciplined. So fast forward, and you get to around 2019, there's rumors of this sneaking up. And then we get to 2021. There had been knowledge that this was going to happen that something was going to happen substantially on July 1. And the NCAA did absolutely positively the bare minimum, close to nothing, because they basically just, hey, let's let the government figure this out for us. Let's let the government figure this out. We're not going to regulate our own sports. We're not going to put some limitation and some barriers on what you can do and what collectives are. Everybody has just been figuring this thing out for 3 years. And now this is what you get. You get a guy essentially quitting. We don't know the full story yet, and we'll look into this for more information throughout the weeks and months that this gets hashed out. But the reality of the situation is this: from what we know, and from what we know about this situation, the guy quit. The guy quit because once you commit to a school, I don't care if there's financial commitments involved. You made a commitment to a school, and if it was on money, if it was about money, then what the hell are we doing here? That's not what college sports is about. Like, you shouldn't be bailing on a team that's 3-0, let alone has a chance to go to the fucking college football playoff with the new CFP allowing an auto bid for the top group of 5 team. And UNLV is right in the mix with 2 Power 4 wins right off the bat. I think Washington State is absolutely in the mix, especially if they could beat Boise State this weekend. But UNLV is right there. They're right there. And they just lost their quarterback. They just lost their quarterback over money. Like, what are we doing here? Nobody wins in this situation, but the Sluka family, and Matthew Sluka in particular, look probably the worst of this whole thing, because whether they're financial commitments or not, that shouldn't be the sole reason you go to a school. That shouldn't. That's not what college sports is about, man. It's about the pageantry, and it's about, like, supporting and loving your teammates, and it's about, this isn't the NFL, okay? This isn't the NFL. And what made college football so great, even without all the pay, with me believing that, college athletes in some respect deserve to be paid, like, we knew that this was going to go this direction once you open Pandora's box with NIL. And you get, yes, a 3-0 quarterback, but a guy completing 45% of his passes, less than 45% of his passes, gets 3 wins, 2 of them the Power 4 variety against Kansas, and 2 of them are against Kansas and, Houston. And you think that you deserve $300,000 more? What the hell are we talking about? Like, financial commitments weren't met. Like, first of all, like, and if this falls on UNLV's side, like, that's bad for them too, that you didn't, forecast or didn't complete your commitment with a guy. But I don't know why we're even at the point of signing deals where they're supposed to, hey, you're allowed to renegotiate money. Like, it's just, not a lot of this story makes sense. No matter how it plays out, I don't think there's a winner here, because you got a guy, like, yeah, he backed out of his commitment, and apparently, like, either he didn't have commitments or he didn't get money from a certain entity or collective within UNLV. But I just don't get it, man. Like, I don't like that side of it, and it's hard for me to see through and give this guy the benefit of the doubt that UNLV didn't pay him enough money, because that shouldn't be what this is about in the first place. So if that's the case and he didn't get all the money that he was promised, that's a problem on both sides. Because first of all, if you're Matthew Sluka, you shouldn't be leaving your team. Like, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, that shouldn't be what this is about. That means this is all about you. And it's like, your team's 3-0, and let's face it, you're not that good. You're not that good. You jumped up from Holy Cross. You played 3 games of Group of 5 football. Congratulations. If you didn't get all your money, that's a problem, and that's something that you should consult with UNLV. But regardless of the situation, you made the commitment and you signed with UNLV. That doesn't give you the right to walk away if you didn't get all your money. This isn't the NFL. You can't just have a contract dispute and just, walk away from your team and not play. You just can't do that. You just can't. And I understand that there's no rules to that, but based off the way that we know college football, that is just like an unwritten rule to just walk away from your teammates. And it seems so disingenuous to say that he wishes the continued success of the program when he's right in the middle of a dispute because, hey, they didn't give him enough money. He didn't care. He didn't care. So I think you can see where I'm leaning with this is that I think a lot of this really doesn't make any sense from the Matthew Sluka perspective, because it's like, why would UNLV like deliberately try to get a guy from Holy Cross and not pay him an inordinate sum of money? Like, I don't know why you're gonna go out the ass to pay a top guy in the portal like that, like, max NIL dollars. I don't know what was reported, but I don't know why they wouldn't have paid that all out in full. It's a university, like and you have collective and you have boosters and stuff. It's like I don't understand why they wouldn't have the money to do that and why they would be withholding that. That's my thing. So that piece of it doesn't really make a whole hell of a lot of sense to me. But in the end, regardless of what happened, this guy quit. He quit. There's no other way to slice it. He quit on his team. I don't give a shit about the money. I don't give a shit about what was promised. It's like, you signed on the dotted line. And this is my whole problem with NIL and the importance of committing and staying the course and being on one roster. The transfer portal and NIL has just ruined college football. And it's really a goddamn shame that it got to this, because now Pandora's box is open. If the NCAA doesn't step in, what's to say that a guy gets to the college football playoff or something, a major player on a college football playoff team in like the top 4, says, you know what? Hey, I want another $500,000 to $1 million. If you don't pay me, I'm not going to play. Who's to say that that's not going to happen? This is the type of stuff you were going to get. And the NCAA has just let this go on for so long. They didn't nip it in the bud in 2021 when everything came to the forefront. And here we are with a star quarterback from a 3-0 top 25 ranked team leaving his team for whether it was signed commitments or not, or he wanted to get a bonus or not and get extra money and renegotiate. That's not how this works. That's not how college football has ever worked. And yet for some reason, because nobody wants to step in and be the bigger person and just say, hey, we've got to step in and we've got to regulate and we've got to put some guardrails on this whole thing so that the inmates aren't running the asylum and we're not just buying off players, because that's what's going on here. That is effectively what is going on here. So that piece of it is also gross. But I think, honest to God, if I was really the most irritated at all of these people, it's like I said, none of the side of Matthew Sluka really makes any sense to me, because it's like, okay, so great, congratulations, you hired it, like, congratulations, like you didn't get your commitments or whatever part of the story is true on that end looks the worst, because either you're backing out because you didn't get all the money that you wanted, which makes you look selfish. It's like, okay, dude, you're a college football player playing at a Group of 5 level. Why do you need to bitch about money? Like, go play. You were playing at Holy Cross, dude. You were playing at Holy Cross. You're playing at a Group of 4 level with a chance to go to a Group of 5 level with the chance to go to and you've beaten 2 Power 4 teams. Like, Matthew Sluka, a Holy Cross quarterback who is not really known as a prolific passer, gets a chance to start at a Group of 5 school in a new college football playoff, is 3-0, beating 2 Power 4 teams, has a chance to go to the college football playoff and make an even bigger deal of himself. And you're going to get mad about stuff 3 games into the season? 3 games? Really? 3 games. You could have been a legend at UNLV. You could have been a legend at UNLV. But you're letting all this petty squabbles and your family and all this other stuff because either you didn't get the money that you were promised, or you weren't given the money that or you weren't given the money, or the money that you wanted to ask at a second time, reproaching Barry Odom. Like, it just, like, the whole nature of this thing stinks. But it's hard for me to really side with the guy who quit on his team. It really is. Like, and I know a lot of people who are former players or whatever are going to side with the players and basically be like, listen, yeah, if he wasn't promised his commitments, he doesn't have a right to play. I was like, guys, that's not how this works. This isn't the fucking NFL. And even in the NFL, the guys conduct themselves like professionals. They don't do this during the damn season. They don't do this during the damn season. Like, they're not on the field and start playing and then automatically have a contract dispute. They don't do that. Like Jamar Chase, he's having a contract dispute with the Cincinnati Bengals. T. Higgins having a contract dispute also with the Cincinnati Bengals. Both those guys have been playing. Like, they had the contract dispute in the offseason, but once it got to the regular season, they moved on. Yeah, it's still a little bit of distraction on the field. That's a separate issue. But you don't see a guy 3 games into the season effectively just say, yeah, I'm not going to play because I'm not getting paid the money I want. That doesn't happen. And this is college football. So it's really hard for me to side with this guy at UNLV. UNLV, I did not have being at the center of 2 firestorms in the college football world, including the Pac-12 realignment sequence, and they're still up in the air as to regards if they're going to stay with the Mountain West or not. The Pac-12 is trying to sue the Mountain West for a lot of these exit fees, even though the Pac-12 is in a scheduling agreement with the Mountain West. Why not have a merger? I don't get it. Like, if this was going to be always the direction, why try poaching the teams? It's literally what the Big 12 and Brett Yormark were doing, and what the Big 10 did with USC and UCLA. It's like, guys, you were playing the victim the whole time. It's like, why are you trying to just go underneath the nose of a team of another conference that you were partners with? So it's like, listen, I always will have support for the Pac-12. I understand why this is happening, and this is just the cutthroat nature of college sports and realignment. But this could have been handled a lot better. It could have been handled a lot better on everyone's side, and it didn't have to go to litigation to the point of the Pac-12 and Mountain West are effectively in a scheduling agreement right now and are gonna effectively be in court against each other. It's just it's bizarre. It's a bizarre time in college football where we're talking about realignment and then NIL and transfer portal and all this. It's like, this is not like the college sports that I remember. It's still weird seeing USC and UCLA play with a Big Ten logo on their field. It's still weird seeing Oregon with a Big Ten logo. It's weird just only having 2 teams in the Pac-12, and then you add 4. And now you're adding Utah State to the mix as well. So they're up to 7. It's the Pac-7 now. But, yeah, this is a weird time in college sports, man. But that's an emergency edition of the West Coast, Best Coast football show. I had to do this because, like I said, this is a mammoth story. It doesn't look good for anybody. Hopefully, we'll be able to get some more information as the week goes on and we get into later in the season. There's probably going to be a ton of details on this story as things move on, and what happens next, I don't know. So like, share, and subscribe here on the channel. Off the Mic 28 if you want to follow me. OT Mike Sports if you want to follow the show. And yeah, we'll have a lot more content throughout the day today and also throughout the week. Perfect blend of sports and sports entertainment here on the Off the Mic Sports Network. I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Bye-bye.